Good morning, YouTube. All right, guys, this morning we woke up in Park City, Utah, and it is a beautiful area. You can see like the ski resort and everything right over here. Last night we stayed in the Holiday Inn Express, and it was by far the nicest hotel that we've stayed in on this trip. It was a little expensive with taxes and everything out the doors, like $220 for the night. A little bit more than I wanted to pay, but it was nice. Free breakfast, the whole 9 yards. All right, so for today, we are continuing east on 80. We are already a little bit east of Salt Lake City area. We did that intentionally last night. We thought about staying in Salt Lake City area, but then I was like, you know what? We got to deal with all the traffic in the morning, and it's holiday weekend. Even though it's a Saturday, still didn't want to deal with it. So we came a little bit east to Park City. From here to Casper is only like 5.5 hours or something like that. And Casper is our end goal tonight. Hopefully we'll get there in time to have dinner with some friends and then continue our trek to Rapid City tomorrow.
Town and take you above the clouds. Ooh. Whatever you see in your heart line, blame it on me, I don't mind. Whatever it is will be fine. Give it to me, I don't mind. Every thought, but I won't leave you now. I won't leave you now. So we fell, but we can work it out while we get back up.
All right, guys, and if any of this scenery looks familiar to you, it's probably because you watched the channel Trucking Together. This is the exact same route that they have been traveling. So everything you saw yesterday and everything you see today up until this point anyways, is their normal route, at least the route they used to have. I talked with Martin the other night on the phone, and I guess that Steve pulled a couple of their loads, but you'll have to watch their channel to get all the details on that. But that's why some of this looks really familiar. I was really hoping to schedule a meetup with them, and it just wasn't possible because they weren't running the route this week. Hi guys, we stopped here in Evanston, Wyoming, and it's because this is kind of a fork in the road. It's a crossroads, and we had to make a choice here. We can either continue east on 80, heading towards Cheyenne, and then split off later on to head up to Casper, or we can split off here, and it looks like the northern route, which is 189, looks like it'll take us up closer to Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons, and maybe see a little bit more scenery that way. The difference was only about 15 minutes. So as you can see here, if we go east, this is where we would normally turn off for Casper, but here we'll go up this way and get around the edge of these mountains here. The difference is only 15 minutes, so we decided to take the more scenic route. Alright guys, so this has been Highway 189.
In 1 mile, turn right
that
onto
was
US
heading
30
north
East
off
toward
of
Rock
80.
Springs.
It's basically just gone through a whole bunch of country back roads. Still some beautiful mountains and some rolling hills. But it's been 70 miles an hour the whole way. Almost no traffic. Like, only one car passed us when we first got on the road. And he did kind of a douchey move, like, as we were trying to accelerate. But other than that, very few cars. Beautiful scenery.
It was a douche canoe.
And just a nice pace. Alright guys, this section here, we've made a couple other turnoffs, but see, it's relatively flat everywhere around us. I mean, you can see the mountains and ridges off in the distance. I believe we are on ExxonMobil property, but it's still a public road that goes through it. And we just passed what looked like an oil refinery, but if you look out there in the places, there's a bunch of little stations with look like tanks and maybe pumps. So they're probably pumping either oil or natural gas or something out of the ground here and refining it for transport and resale. Pretty interesting actually, but never knew this was even here.
Highway 372.
Alright guys, interesting fact. Katie and I have been on this road now. I forget what road it is, but we've been on it for about 24 miles now. And we turned on to it, the map says we're going to be on it for 94 miles. But this road should take us up around like that lower peak of these mountains here that are just on the south end of Yellowstone National Park. But what I thought was interesting is we're in this big, wide, open, relatively flat area. I mean, there are some hills and some ravines and whatnot, but it's pretty much wide open spaces. So out of curiosity, I decided to have Katie check our elevation. So she went into the app on my phone, and we're at like 6,500 feet. And what's crazy about that is we're at 6,500 feet above sea level, and it's wide open and flat, and we're driving on it. Where on the East Coast, our highest point above sea level is Mount Mitchell there by Asheville, which the peak of it is like 6,300 or something. So we're actually higher than that, driving around for many, many miles.
Charges on hold because it's too hot.
All right, so we just went through the town of Farson, and it looks like our next town is Landier, and it is 76 miles away. Glad we fueled up before we got on this road. Well guys, we stopped at this rest area in South Pass, and looking at this map, it looks a lot more detailed than the Apple Maps were. So it looks like we're actually going to cross the mountain range and go through quite a bit of scenic. But it looks like if we would have taken the other route, the Rawlings, it would have been pretty scenic as well. Also, just a few moments ago before arriving here, we had actually crossed the Continental Divide again, 7,550 feet above sea level. So now we're back onto the east side of that. right, guys, I know it's really windy, but we had to pull over and get a view of that. It's absolutely beautiful. You know, it's amazing how different the scenery just keeps changing over and over again. All right, guys, we are just coming into Casper now. In fact, we just hit that stoplight and it felt strange. We have not seen a stoplight in hundreds of miles. Every time we've changed roads, it's just been a junction, no lights. We haven't seen a stoplight since we got fuel. And actually, we didn't even see a stoplight there. Yeah, I think the last stoplight we saw was actually in Park City, Utah. All right, guys, as you see, we made it to Casper. We are checked in to the Super 8 here. Now, it's only about 4 o'clock, and our friends Dean and Susie don't get off work until about 5, so we went ahead and checked in early. We'll hang out here for a few minutes until we're going to go meet them for dinner. But I think we're going to go ahead and close this video here. We saw some absolutely beautiful scenery today. It still just amazes me how the landscape can change. There were times we were just going through these flats, and it was, you know, slight little elevation changes, but mostly just vast openness. And then you make a little curve around a hill and opens up to this huge valley with a beautiful lake down below. And it just changes like that. Absolutely beautiful. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Until the next time I see you, keep those engines running.